continue. At this time, I would like to call upon William Dick to do our land acknowledgement.
Miuma Amamunini Anishinabe King. Bajashik Kakna Tanazieg Nongom Niye. Miigwech.
And it is my great pleasure now to introduce Bear Nation to do our Veterans Honor Song. Shall people stand? Brian? Yeah, if you don't mind. If you are able, please stand. Miigwech Bear Nation, you may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Over the course of the past year, various community members have contacted Council expressing their desire to honor their veteran warriors with the Aboriginal Veterans Millennium Medal. With the assistance of the Aboriginal Veterans Autochtones, the Aboriginal Way Cultural Centre, Garrison Petawawa, and the Royal Canadian Legion, we are here to honor our Algonquin veterans today. The Aboriginal Veterans Millennium Medal was first issued at the unveiling of the National Aboriginal War Monument on the 21st of June in 2001. At that time, 2,500 medals were issued to eligible candidates. The Aboriginal Veteran Millennium Medal was created in 2000 to commemorate those Aboriginals who risked their lives and sacrificed so much in the fight for freedom and democracy. This medal is awarded to Aboriginal veterans of the Canadian Armed Forces, the RCMP, the Merchant Navy, and those who joined the U.S. force either in peacetime or wartime, who served prior to the year 2000, and to Aboriginal members who were serving in the year 2000. To begin our medal presentation, I would like to call upon Chief Kirby White Duck to say a few words. Chief White Duck.
First of all, I want to welcome everybody here on behalf of the council. I'm glad to see that we have a pretty good crowd. I'm surprised, but I'm very pleased and glad to be here today on what I think is a significant event. And we know that many Aboriginal and First Nation people enlisted in wars and conflicts over the last years. We know that many died or were wounded, both physically and mentally. Emotionally. We also know that many of them fought beside and along with non-Aboriginals in these conflicts. However, they didn't get the recognition or the compensation and the respect that the non-Aboriginals got and received. Today we hope to rectify that a little for them and their families, in this case for Algonquins and Pikwakanagan First Nation veterans and their families. We're here today to recognize and present 20 Aboriginal Veteran Memorial Medals. Most have passed on. We want to show our appreciation and to recognize them. On behalf of Pikwakanagan, we show our respect and gratitude, and forever we'll remember them. Miigwech, and again, I think it's a significant event. We need to give them some respect and recognition, and to also their families who also would feel the effects of their wounds and the deaths of their family member who went to war and in many cases buried overseas. So we're trying to do our best to give some recognition. We have the War Memorial site here. As part of that effort, the names of all the veterans in the past, at least World War I, World War II, and against other conflicts engraved here, so that they are recognized and remembered. And I appreciate the veterans that are here, and I appreciate them coming, and the Veterans Association for helping to recognize by establishing the Millenium medals with support of the Department of Human Affairs. So thank you very much for coming, and hopefully you have a good day.
I would now like to introduce Claude Genoux from the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 355, Eganville. Claude is the service officer from the Legion, if you don't mind.
Turn that thing up.
I bring greetings from the Branch 353 Eganville on behalf of the President, the Executive, and members of the branch. I would like to thank you, Councillor Wendy Choco, for inviting a member of the branch for the presentation of the Aboriginal Veteran Millenium Medal. As I was preparing this presentation, I researched on the internet some information on the number of Aboriginals who have served in the First and Second World War. The exact number is difficult to say, but it is estimated that over 4,000 Indigenous people left their homes and enlisted. The 107th Battalion was composed entirely of Indian soldiers, and in some areas they were so well represented that they were a majority, as is in the case of Company D of the 114th Battalion. Likewise, the Iroquois Six Nation Reserve represented the majority of recruits through the 14th Canadian Infantry Battalion. Across Canada, Indians and Métis communities demonstrated their enthusiasm for the war effort. Nearly every young man enlisted, which was such the case with the Algonquin of Golden Lake, of whom only 3 eligible men remained on the reserve. During the Second World War, at least 3,000 First Nation members, including 72 women, enlisted, as well as an unknown number of Inuit, Métis, and other Indigenous people. The actual number are probably a lot higher. Among this small number, at least 17 decorations for bravery in action were earned. The brave Indigenous men and women who left their homes during the First and Second World War to contribute to the struggle for peace were true heroes. The extra challenges that they had to face and overcome on their return to Canada made their achievements all the more notable. In conclusion, thank you for the invitation and congratulations to all the recipients.
Next code. From Garrison Petawawa, it's my pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Ian Clark, Acting Base Commander, and also Commanding Officer, 4th Canadian Division, Support Base Personnel Services.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Council members, community members, veterans, friends, thank you for this invitation. I was pleased and honored to be able to come here. A very stirring, a very moving event. And I feel incredibly proud to be a part of this. For those who are not here today that we are recognizing, I'm sure they would be proud to be in this spot, in this event, being recognized for their sacrifice. They sacrificed in war and in peace, overseas for their country, for the freedom of their country and also other countries. And they've served since the war. And we honor them today. I look forward to the rest of this experience. I am learning as I'm here, and it's just, as I said, incredibly moving to be a part of it. And as I greet each of you, know from my heart and my soul that this is an incredible honor, but it's the honor of you and your family members that served before. Thank you, Wendy, for the invitation.
The Algonquin people, along with other First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people, have a long and proud tradition of military service to our country. While exact statistics are difficult to determine, the rate of Indigenous participation in Canadian military efforts over the years has been impressive. These determined volunteers were often forced to overcome many challenges to serve in uniform, from learning a new language and adapting to cultural differences, to having to travel great distance from their remote communities just to enlist. The story of Indigenous service in the First and the Second World Wars, the Korean War, and later Canadian Armed Forces efforts is a proud one. While exact numbers are elusive, it has been estimated that as many as 12,000 First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people served in the great conflicts over the 20th century, with at least 500 of them sadly losing their lives. It has been documented that Aboriginal veterans were treated poorly upon their return to Canada, with the government stripping them of their Indian status and often barring them from entering their reserves to visit their family and friends. Unfortunately, some of our Algonquin veterans were subject to this type of treatment. This had a devastating effect on the veterans themselves and their families. Today we would like to honor our Algonquin veterans who collectively were involved in all theaters of war to the present wars in Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan, including peacekeeping missions. We will now read the names of our Algonquin veterans, and I would like to call upon Kevin Lamar Jr. to read the name, please.
Can you hear me? Yeah? All right. No? Some of the names I'm going to read are not on the cenotaph. There's some paperwork that has to be sorted in regards to that. So, Algonquin Anishinabe warriors, we will remember. War of 1812, Grand Chief Constant Pinesse. World War I, 1914 to 1918. James S. LaValle, Matthew LaValle, Joseph LaValle, Alfred Vincent Amicons, Michael Joseph Stokwa, Patrick James Aird, Michael Jocko, Thomas LeMay, Joseph Matthew LeMay, Moses Tenesco, Alexander Tenesco, Joseph Tenesco, John Baptiste Jack Whiteduck, Gabriel Whiteduck, Joseph Gagne, Matt LeMay, Jocko Joseph James Lemure, Joseph Papin, William James Pierre, Joseph Leo Baptiste, Michael James Joseph Benoit, Richard Doust, Samuel Sam DeCare, Paul LaForce, Hector Laurent, Joseph K. Laurent, Peter Lannerond, Patrick Henry Whiteduck, Joseph Whiteduck, Joe Whiteduck. World War II, 1939 to 1945. Mary Carolyn Aird Partridge, Burns. Dixon James Aird Partridge. Irene Mary Aird Partridge. Desmond Vincent Amicons. Anthony Tony S. Bernard. Harold Sylvester LaValle. Gordon Gagne. Marion Bernard. Thelma Papin, Marianne Jocko, Babcock, Gerald Vincent, Lennox Vincent Amicons, Edward Cuckoo Lindsay, James L. Cuckoo Cook, Leo Francis Baptiste, Matthew Henry Jocko, Leo Alexander Jocko, Patrick Jocko, Joseph D. Maness, Wallace Maness, George J. Sarrazin, Archibald Bernard, Michael Martin LaValle, Patrick Bennett, Marceline Bennett, Patrick J. Bennett, Arthur Earl Benoit, Teddy Francis Benoit, Alfred Kahoko Cuckoo, Don Cuckoo, Joseph D. Cuckoo, John Kahoko Cuckoo, Leonard Cuckoo, Peter John Jocko, Henry Patrick Gagnon, Steve Gagnon, Bobby Jocko Defoe, James Devine Jocko, Louis Jocko Commander, William John Luck Jocko, Esmond Peter Maness Millments, Donald Sarrazin, Stanley Sarrazin, Korea 1950 to 1953, Reginald Alexander Maness, Bryce Gagne, James Devine Jocko, John Henry Miller, Edward Cuckoo, Lindsay, Walter Sarrazin, Vietnam, 1955 to 1975, Roger Maness. Other missions, Glenn William Benoit, George Tenesco, James Devine Tenesco, Lawrence Tenesco, Frank Wilford LaValle, Wendy Ann Jocko, Jeffrey George Joseph Sarrazin, James Scott McMullen and Cassandra Colbert, Louis Caro.
Congrats, Kevin. The Aboriginal Veteran Millennium Medal is posthumously awarded to the following nominees. In alphabetical order, when I call out your name, would you please stand? Arthur Earl Benoit. Accepting his medal will be his grandson, Jerry Benoit.
Great job, Daddy.
If you could hold your things. Glenn William